What's going on? Welcome into the Bills Chat halftime show as the Bills lead the Cleveland Browns by a score of 20-10. And the Bills, who normally are as buttoned up gets in situational football, um, led the example of how to run poorly judged football at the end of the half. But then the Browns were like, whoa, 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 we are still the Browns. And they managed to bobble a gift of the Bills, putting them in field goal range with a face mask penalty. They could not execute a field goal, and the Bills carry a 20-10 lead in halftime. The Bills will get the ball to start the second half. I am Josh McCarty. Let's talk about the first half, but I do believe the two biggest stories right now in this game are injury related. One, for the Browns, Quinshawn Judkins left the game, did not look good. He's already been ruled out. You just have to hope the best for that kid. He looks like he is going to be something special in this league. And when you talk about serious leg injuries for a running back, you hope it's not the worst case scenario. You absolutely hate to see that. The other one, as Ismailis is here, and I agree, that was a drive I'd like to forget. Josh Allen running 23 yards backwards and then taking a sack that didn't even go to Myles Garrett. Come on, at least let us have that. Stokes is in chat. Seems like the Bills have forgotten that quarterbacks can run the ball anytime they choose. Boy, oh boy, Stokes, they sure have. I will say, Shedeur Sanders I think he looks good. I know he left for a bit with the cut on his pinky, but you see the potential there, and you could see it in college. He never should have slipped a day 3. I don't think he was a day 1 prospect, but he's definitely a better prospect than Dillon Gabriel. But the biggest story right now for the Bills is what's going on with Josh Allen. So on that play where he scrambled around and got sacked at the 1-yard line by Mason Graham, he got up holding the back of his leg, which immediately you think hamstring. From there, nobody knows. Now, what I will tell you is CBS showed Josh Allen walking off the field early, right before the Browns were kicking the final field goal. I would not freak out about that because there was only 3 seconds left on the clock. Based on NFL rules, that's guaranteed to be the last play of the half, because back when the Rams lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl, there was like 8 seconds left on the clock and the entire 8 seconds ran off on the last field goal. They now time it out where if you kick a field goal, it's going to take X amount of seconds no matter what. I mean, ultimately, the Browns couldn't even execute the field goal, but that's neither here nor there. Josh Allen left early. You see people do that all the time. There was no chance of him going back in and throwing a Hail Mary. So I would not read into it that he left the field early with trainers as anything other than a sign of they wanted to get him in there quicker to get checked out. I don't think it has to be a sign that it's a catastrophic injury or he's not coming back in the game. But I would say to all of my friends in chat, if you do see an update about Josh Allen's status while we are sitting here at halftime, please let me know, and I will relay that to the viewers. The story of this game has been the Bills' running game, and not a huge surprise, but man, oh man, James Cook, who is now the NFL leading rusher, by the way, 9 carries, 100 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, could have been 3, but they did give the ball to Ty Johnson in the red zone, which I'm sure did James Cook fantasy owners what's the word I'm looking for here? Did them dirty, but how can you be complaining when he has 100 yards and 2 touchdowns? If you're a Josh Allen fantasy owner, the Bills, I am, by the way, the Bills have 3 touchdowns and he has none of them, and he may not come back for the second half, so that's less than ideal. The story of the game right now, the Bills can seemingly do whatever they want to offensively as long as their star quarterback doesn't decide to run around 20 yards in the backfield from Myles Garrett and Mason Graham. They are running the ball at will against these Browns, and that is leading to a lot of passing lanes also. I would not expect that to change. For the Browns, kind of predictable as the sunrise in the morning, the Bills struggled to start the game. The Browns come out, go right through the Bills defense like a hot knife through butter, and Shedeur Sanders connects with Harold Fannin, their excellent young tight end, on the touchdown, and the Browns have a 7-0 lead. At that point in time now, the Bills have gone on to outscore the Browns since that touchdown 20-3, which leads us to 20-10. Other injuries we're keeping a note on. Shaq Thompson left the game briefly with an injury. I do think that some of the Bills inactives today were interesting. Gabe Davis was inactive for the second week in a row, but while it wasn't in favor of Keon Coleman, which many people thought last week that ultimately didn't play out, Keon Coleman is also inactive. The Bills wide receiver group today, I'm doing this off the top of my head, is Joshua Palmer, Tyrell Shavers, Khalil Shakir, Mecole Hardman, and Brandon Cooks. So 2 of the 5 have only been here for half the season or less. And then you have Tyrell Shavers, who started the year on the Bills practice squad, Joshua Palmer, and Khalil Shakir. So when you talk about what the Bills wanted coming into the year and what they have right now, they wanted Elijah Moore, gone. Curtis Samuel, IR. Keon Coleman, healthy scratch, 3rd time this season, 4th time in the last 3 games. And now they also wanted Shakir and Joshua Palmer. And then what they have is a guy who started on the practice squad in Shavers, and then 2 people they picked up off the street in Hardman and Cooks. I do want to give them credit that they are looking under every stone to try to improve this wide receiver group. But I just think that it's further proof, and we don't need to beat a dead horse here. It's further proof that this wide receiver unit is undermanned and underappreciated by the Bills general manager, and his post-draft comments just continue to sound more and more ridiculous. Tactical Keith is here. I don't like this right now. Josh looks like it's a potential bad injury, or he's just pissed about that last play he did. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I am admittedly, while doing this, checking Thigh Doctor's Twitter and Banged Up Bill's Twitter. They're very good usually at getting a read on it early on. Thigh Doctor has saying ankle foot for Allen. You know, that you don't know what that means. Who knows? I'm going to check out Banged Up Bill's timeline here and see if he has anything here. Really can't tell. This is word for word a tweet that he made 4 minutes ago. Go check out Banged Up Bills on Twitter. He's excellent. Really can't tell what Allen does to the right foot ankle other than it got clipped. Other angles may show more what happened. So I think it's just a guessing game right now. Ismaili says, I'm hoping it isn't serious. I agree. The one thing we've learned about Josh Allen is unless it's broken, he's not coming out. We learned in 2023, was it, when he had the elbow injury on the last throw of the game against the Jets, and he went on to play every other game that season, even though his elbow was wrapped and not healthy. Walking off no shoe is weird. It is, but you know, at the end of the day, they may have just taken his shoe off so they can flex his toes to stretch it out. I am the furthest thing from a doctor, but you know, again, I don't think that the optics of him walking off early has to be anything more than they knew the Bills offense was not going to be on the field for another snap. So you might as well get him in there ahead of time and get the early look at it. And I do agree with this. Good thing he did walk off, though. I agree, because if it was going to be something that they feared was serious, you'd like to think that they wouldn't just let the franchise quarterback, who the entire weight of the franchise rests on, walk off the field and potentially make the injury worse. And he just kept looking down and shaking his head, hope I'm overreacting. Well, there's no such thing as overreacting when it comes to the golden goose, right? Like if you want to sink the Bills battleship in 2025, make Josh Allen go away. And this team is cooked. I don't care if they make the playoffs. I don't care if they win their division. They're not doing anything in the playoffs without Josh Allen. So that's what we're all looking at right now. But the moments after an injury, it's always scary. I'll just say that until we know, there's no reason to panic. I'm a bit worried, says Jonas, that Josh doesn't feel the need to do something there and not throw the ball away, especially when it comes to where we are in the season. Yeah, that entire play, and I never went back and watched it again. I've seen like the end of it to try to see what the injury did, but just the entire play. But based on how I remember it, Jonas, it felt like there were multiple instances in that play where he regathered himself and could have gotten rid of the ball. And he regathered himself and could have gotten rid of the ball until ultimately he got tripped up on his own feet and then got down at the 1 yard line. And that's what the Bills have been trying to coach out of Josh Allen. It is kind of a take the good with the bad, because there are so many examples where he does things that we as football fans have heard, don't do that. And then he turns it into a highlight level play, you know, the go, where the coach is sitting on the sideline going, no, go, you know, but in this case, you know, it cost the Bills 24 yards of field position, could have cost the Bills valuable points. It could have been a 1-score game going into halftime and potentially cost the Bills their starting quarterback, although I do think that's a little bit presumptuous at this point. Checking back in on Twitter to see if there is any update now on Josh Allen. I'm not seeing anything just yet. Again, let me know in chat if you guys see anything. Okay, so keys to the second half. One, at this point in time, offensively, you don't really need to change anything, especially if Josh Allen has any kind of an injury. Continue to run the ball, continue to force the running game. I love the under center passing game because it sets up play action. And the Bills are just a really tough team to stop offensively when they're in their heavy personnel, 3 tight ends, and they can put you in a bind because all 3 tight ends are able to go out and catch passes too. Defenses all season long, I've had a hard time matching up, and the Browns are no different. Myles Garrett still did not get credit for that sack at the end. So he is still 1.5 sacks shy of breaking the record, 1 sack shy of tying the record. So, he's going to continue to be motivated, obviously, but I don't know that the Bills are going to come out and necessarily be super pass heavy. They do have a 10-point lead. They do have the ball. And Tactical Keith says, if Kincaid was healthy, my goodness. Well, I'll end this here. I think Kincaid is probably as healthy as he's going to be. I think that they are managing him through the week. He didn't practice at all this week until Friday. And then McDermott said so in his press conference and then had no injury designation for the game. And they are limiting his snaps. I think that's a calculated effort to get him as healthy as possible at the postseason, managing it and getting it going. Like, who knows if he's 100%? Who knows if any of these guys are 100%? It's a high collision sport. But ultimately, okay, East Malise comes in with the news we've all been waiting for. X-rays were done. Josh is cleared to return. They were done on his foot. She follows up to say, whoo, we can all take a sigh of relief. The Golden Goose is fine. We'll see how much he's limping. We'll see how much he's affected by it. But the fact that it was done on the foot, I think, can rule out the hamstring. That would have been tricky because those things can linger for multiple weeks. And now we'll say that, let's just see how much he's affected by. And he says, yeah, I was just saying overall, the tight end room all season is dangerous. I agree. That's the one knock on Kincaid, right? When he's healthy and when it's rolling, he looks as good as anybody in the sport, but it's just the health has not been there 100%. Luca and I will be back tomorrow morning for Bills Browns post game, hopefully talking about a Bills win. Hey, we finally got a happy halftime show, by the way, except for the Josh Allen injury. And then still TBD if we're going to do a midweek live show, Bills Chat Live, Christmas season. That's Christmas Eve. That could be really tricky schedule-wise. TBD. We'll try to get something out. And then see you post-game. Appreciate you always checking us out there, Tactical Keith. And then I'll be back next week for Bills-Eagles halftime show. And then Bills Chat will be back for Bills-Eagles post-game. I hope everybody out there has a very Merry Christmas, a very happy holidays. If this is the last time you check out our show prior to the holidays, I hope you all get some very special time with anybody who's special to you in your lives. Be safe, be kind, go Bills. I will talk to you next time.